Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of bad news has just erupted from US, and I think it's important for us to take note of them. More importantly, there's one very bad one that if it ever happens will be disastrous for the stock market. So let's watch on, shall we? So US President Donald Trump has just issued a couple of big threats, and my guess is Donald Trump now wants everybody to take him seriously. So these are my usual disclaimers. Not telling you to buy or sell. Let's go. So the first threat that US President Donald Trump has issued is that US plans to double tariffs on steel and aluminium products to 50%. Right now it's at 25%, and Donald Trump right now says that he will double its current tariff on steel and aluminium imports from 25% to increase to 50% starting on this coming Wednesday. Speaking at a rally in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Trump said that the move would help to boost local steel industry and national supply while reducing reliance on China. And he also announced a very big deal that he's very proud of and says that Nippon will invest $2.2 billion in steel, US Steel Mon Valley works outside Pittsburgh, and $7 billion on modernizing equipment or production expansion in Indiana, Alabama, Arkansas, and Minnesota. Under the deal, the company blast furnace will operate for the next 10 years, and each worker would receive a $5,000 bonus. So it's really all out to cut deals for US. So from the point of US, this is quite good because he won a lot of deals. But this is clearly an escalation of tariff war. Now, in particular, not just with China, but also with other countries, which I'll further elaborate. So he touted this 50% as a way to ensure US steel survival. And steel is a critical product to him, because with steel you can build armaments, weapons, tanks, vehicles and things like that. So right now, they are really going all out to protect their steel industry. Canada's Chambers of Commerce quickly denounced the tariff hike as anti-ethical to North America economic security. So the president of the chamber says unwinding the efficient, competitive, reliable cross-border supply chain like what we have in steel and aluminium comes at a great cost to both countries. Australia's side also KB, Kawi. They condemn the tariff increase as an unjustified and not an act to a friend. They are an act of economic self-harm that will only hurt consumer and businesses who rely on free and fair trade, blah, blah, blah. So two other countries are now affected on top of China. Strangely, I didn't see anything from China, and maybe not yet. But clearly, all these are escalation. Now, this thing came as a big breaking news. In fact, I think this is far more damaging than all the other news to the stock market if it ever happens. Suddenly, global investors have a new concern, which is a US revenge tax. Okay, US revenge tax that was buried into a few thousand pages document of the new tax bill. So a new revenge tax aimed at foreign investors is potentially rattling the Wall Street. So provisions could increase tax on some companies' US investment and reduce appetite for US asset. So this tax that is very obscure but is now being approved actually could give the US power to impose new taxes up to 20% on foreigners with US investment. By the way, that's us. You realize that that's us. Hitting governments, individuals, and companies with US outposts is called a revenge tax because it's specifically designed to apply only in cases where other countries are deemed to be imposing unfair or discriminatory taxes against US companies. So what he's saying is this: if you belong to a country, let's say China, okay, they are doing unfair trade on US, US can now impose a tax on your dividends and maybe some of your gains from your US investment. And that's quite deadly, So the new provision would become tax code Section 899 will be imposed on some passive investment income, such as dividends and interest, and it could also be imposed on profits earned by foreign companies with US operation that send money back to their parents. So I think this is quite complicated. Don't have details yet. The analysts and economists are trying to decipher exactly what the proposal would work, but this tax is intended to avoid placing additional burdens on foreign investments in treasuries. So this is clearly something that will hurt Wall Street and hurt the stock market. And right now, we don't have a lot of details yet. So this is what I call a deadly tax. I'll do a live stream tonight or tomorrow on it. I have to do some research on it first. If I can do it with enough content, I will do a live stream tonight, if not tomorrow. So remember, hit subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you will be alerted to it. So 2 weeks ago, China was in virtual economic danger, according to Donald Trump. And now, he basically says that, I make a fast deal with China in order to save them from what I thought was going to be a bad situation. And I didn't want to see that happen. Because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized and China got back to business as usual. Everyone was happy. That's good news. The bad news is China, perhaps not surprising to some, has totally violated its agreement with US. So much for being a nice guy. I've announced this issue, and this issue is going to blow up big time. So we already said that the China trade are now a bit stalled. Okay, I actually don't think that it's going to be so easy negotiating in China. And yesterday we did a live stream on it. We actually polled everybody and most people think that China is not going to be a walkover. And we know China because we probably have more dealings with China than the Angmos. And I also don't think it's going to be that easy walkover. And now the State Department also aggressively revoked a lot of Chinese student visa. And this means that a lot of the Chinese students now cannot study in China anymore, professors probably included as well. So this is something that is potential issue. If your children are currently studying right now in US and potentially interested in studying in US, I think there might be some complication moving forward. And just to step up the level of hostility between US and China, the Secretary of Defense is right now in Singapore. And he called on Asia to boost the military spending in face of imminent threat from China. And I think this is something quite serious because his tone was very hostile. If you watch his actual speech, I won't go into the details of his speech, but basically, the US Secretary of Defense basically said that all Asian countries must boost their military spending right now because of the increased threat of China. And there are many reasons. Number one is China is threatening by 2027 to take over Taiwan. And is increase its pledge to increase US presence in Indo-Pacific, outlining a range of new projects, including expanding access to military ships, repair, and so on in Australia. US allies in Indo-Pacific can and should upgrade their own defense. And it is clear to all that Beijing is credibly preparing to potentially use military force to alter the balance of power in Indo-Pacific. There is no reason to sugarcoat it. The threat that China poses is real and it could be imminent. So here you have one side saying that take China seriously, is a threat, is a danger to everybody. Okay, and my guess is also trying to sell his weapons and everything to everybody. So it's potentially making money out of this insecurity. It doesn't help that it is true that China is increasing its presence and make its presence felt in the South China Sea especially, and also increase its threat over Taiwan. And Taiwan also not playing ball, know how to be diplomatic to China. So all these things are not playing out well. And certainly this is something that we all should be concerned of, given that we are in this space. But China, on the other hand, is having battles. Their battleships. Maybe battleships is too heavy a word. To have their naval craft making things very difficult in the South China Sea to many people. Planes flying dangerously to other countries' plane. So all these are complicated. Yeah. Everybody needs to stand down, chill, and have a cup of ice Milo to just chill down. So elaborating on what U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete says is that deterrence first, war prevention is goal. That means that we must have peace through strength. Peace through strength. U.S. is forging a strong shield of deterrence together with its allies. Okay, Taiwan is very important. He wants that Beijing is training every day for 2027, possibly to conquer Taiwan. And US will make any invasion too costly to contemplate. And allies should spend more, about 3 to 5%, which is what we do. We spend 5% of GDP, not 2%. Okay. And singling out Australia and Japan for encouraging start, but call for bolder budget. This basically say, please buy weapons from me. They are the biggest weapons manufacturer anyway. Okay. And they condemn China dangerous air and sea intercepts. Okay. And certainly he says that, okay, all said and done, we welcome dialogue. Okay. Not on Beijing terms, and US sanctions on US defense firm remain in place. So all said and done, all these are sending a lot of shock waves into the economy and the stock market, and I don't think these are nice. So right now, there are a lot of investors that now says that, this year investing is very exhausting because the conversation keeps swinging back to whatever Donald Trump tweets on trade instead of the fundamentals. So now you cannot look at fundamentals anymore. You have to look at what Donald Trump is tweeting and is announcing and things like that. And we don't know what's the impact of this. Now, I think a lot of people is also not taking Trump seriously, and I think so as well. But the worst part is Trump actually think that, a lot of people is not taking him seriously as well. Meanwhile, amidst all this, yesterday, NASDAQ didn't perform too badly, slight marginal fall. Don't think much of it. The futures market looked fairly flat as well. That's okay. S&P 500 flat, and the futures market looked slightly down, but not much down. And so is the bonds market as well. So everything is now adopting a wait and see. The key takeaway that I have is this: like a Chinese TV drama right now, the US political stock market scene, there is no end to the series of drama Donald Trump can bring. Take note, Trump is a powerful media person. He knows how to play and catch attention of everybody. He likes that and he needs that. So he's playing games to catch attention in the media space, and he's doing very well on it. He does it through a lot of bad news, good news, threats, and all these kind of things. He just and he catch your attention non-stop. Okay, and he does it really very well. Every part of the world is now playing to his fingertips. Wall Street, unfortunately or fortunately, right now is oblivious to his nonsense. And right now, everybody is just kind of like, taking him, like win, right? Okay. And 1 year in, 1 year out. My fear is that right now, he knows that no one, including China and all the negotiating countries, are taking him seriously. And because he knows that everybody thinks that Donald Trump is taco, that means Trump always chicken out, he got to do something to make people think that he doesn't always chicken out. So that is the one that potentially is quite dangerous. And I think if I were to bet, he will do at least one serious, heavy hand policy and hit very hard at something or someone. And we call it jalat, kaulat kind of thing. And this is a developing news, so please hit subscribe so that you will keep watch to this space. I'm thinking that will come, and right now already a lot of W's are forming already. I don't need to explain myself. These W's are quite small, but they're still W's on the stock market. Okay, up, down, up, down. This is developing news. I will try to catch something if I can see and let you know real time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tonight or tomorrow. Bye-bye.